Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I want to introduce my colleague and comrade Curtis Cave to the stage to address you tonight. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Comrade Cots. Good night, comrades, the good people of St. Michael West. I'm seeing a crowd and I'm feeling like Jason Hodor, West Indies, that's captain, saying a feeling a vibe. I'm really feeling a vibe. In other places, they're gathering, but for us, it is a war, a battle for the souls and the hearts of Barbadians. So for us, we are assembling here, and we are not necessarily gathering. I'm happy to see each and every one of you here tonight. As Corey would have said, my name is Curtis Cave, and I'm an attorney at law. I've been with this party all my adult life, and I do not intend to go anywhere because the philosophy of our borough still has a place here in Barbados, and I am passionate about that still as a young man.
True blue.
Shaquani Hunt, I want to take some time first to endorse this young lady. That is my president, the president of the Young Democrats. And this office of the president, let me speak about that for a little bit. It was held by Verla de Pisa. It was held by our late Prime Minister, David Thompson. It was held by Don Villinis. It was held by Richard Seeley. And to the good people of St. Michael West Central, we have not taken your concerns lightly. We took one of the best of us from among our young people, and we said to the people of St. Michael West, this young lady, this is a lady of integrity. This is one who's going to fight for you, who's going to work for your concerns from the length and the breadth of St. Michael West. And she's going to put every last effort into the young people, the elderly, and make sure that all of your concerns are heard and all the programs that are necessary to take this constituency forward, she's going to bring. And I'm happy to say to you, the people of St. Michael West, you have a gem in a candidate for the Democratic Labour Party. Tonight, I'm going to speak about priorities. And whether or not the priorities of the people of Barbados are being met by this government. And the question is simple. If these priorities are not being met by this government, I say to the people of St. Michael West, the people of St. Michael generally, and all of Barbados, it is time to move on. If you feel as though the priorities and the things that concern you are not being met by this government. Our former Prime Minister would quote Edmund Burke. The only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to stand and do nothing, pretty much. Sure. And that is why we here, as Dems, as supporters, as faithfuls, good people, men and women, have to not be fearful, have to not sit by and do nothing, but to get up and fight this fight on behalf of the most vulnerable in this country. We have a purpose. I am 32 years old, and I'm saying I could feel it as a young man. The threat to democracy is to take out the Dems. That's right. And we have to recognize there's still a purpose for us in this country. In Parliament, among the people, our value system, there would have been no NIS, all the necessary programs that would have built us up in this country. We still need the presence of the Democratic Labour Party, and I'm hearing it on the ground, I'm hearing it in my profession, I'm hearing it among the young people, I'm hearing it in my church, I'm hearing it in the barbershop, and the Dems must understand there's a place for all of us. going forward, and the people of Barbados still needs us. Priorities. We speak about priorities and whether or not this government is prioritizing the concerns of the people of Barbados. The people of St. Michael West. One of the biggest concerns today in Barbados is crime. And we ask ourselves whether or not Mr. Dale Marshall, the Prime Minister, and their associates are prioritizing crime as one of the main concerns in Barbados. For me, these facts speak for themselves. And I believe every time you have these same three characters, Dale Marshall, Miss Motley, and the former Commissioner of Police, handling crime in Barbados all goes south. It's always the highest murder rate when these three are in charge. You may ask yourself, what is Mr. Doughton doing now? Remember, he's an advisor on crime. I take you back to 2006. Miss Motley, Deputy Prime Minister, Dale Marshall, the Attorney General, Commissioner of Police, Doughton.
Correct.
The highest, when it was in 2006, the highest murder rate then. I take you forward when they came back to the government, 2019. Of course, they had to outdo themselves. And then they had the highest murder rate again in 2013. Prime Minister Motley in a new office, the same 2019, I apologize. 2019, Prime Minister Motley, new office as Prime Minister, Dale Marshall in the same office as Attorney General, and Mr. Doughton now an advisor on crime. If Ms. Motley is serious about the concerns of Barbadians, and she recognizes that she has the same two associates advising her on crime, and each time she gets the same result, believe you me, Barbadians, it is time to move on. They are not prioritizing the issues of crime and fighting crime serious. If my boss give me a task and I produce the same results, failing each time, it is time for Curtis to go. What is so special about Mr. Marshall and Mr. Doughton that Ms. Motley cannot fire them in the interest of Barbadians who put them there? Again, I'm saying they are not prioritizing crime as a concern in this country. May you put money to young people and say this is money for you to stop doing crime. When the money run out, what we're gonna do? They just do more crime. It is not a feasible policy. It is not politicians taking time to prioritize the issues of Barbadians. And I'm saying to you, if you're feeling like me, and feeling like many others, and you feel as though your concerns are not being addressed by this government, again I say to you, it is time to do what? Move on.
Permanent vacation.
I want to touch on a few. So we see crime. We're looking at housing. And the most controversial housing project in the history of Barbados is the Hope Housing. Correct, the hopeless housing. If you do some research on Hope Housing, as with this government, it's nothing original. You will see Hope Housing all the way in Australia and also in the UK. But the biggest concern that I have with this Hope Housing is the cost versus the results. $60 million pumped in a Hope Housing. $60 million. And this project started some 3-4 years ago. The $60 million is gone. But we are still weekly paying carpenters $3,000 and $4,000 to complete a project. Is this a competent government? Is this government prioritizing housing for ordinary Barbadians?
No.
Are your concerns being met?
No.
Are we satisfied? Are we going to stay with this government?
No, man.
Tell me whether or not it is time to move on. Barbadians, good people of St. Michael West, is it time to move on? Is it time to move on? Not to House produce Miss Morley's last budget speech. I believe you me. Miss Morley speaks nice, but when it comes to results, she's always short. 10,000 houses in the next 4 to 5 years, on average. I'm only an attorney, not an accountant, but that sounds like 2,000 houses for each year going forward for the next 5 years. Based on her housing minister, they produce 780 houses or so on average. So in the first year, they're already short. Mind you, we are taking his word for it. But I know, and you know, that we have not seen 780 houses built in Barbados in the last 2 or 3 years.
They're mine.
So we already know they're coming short on housing. It is nothing compared to the last Democratic Labour Party's administration. We had London Board Towers. I almost feel as though we had the whole, St. Philip with housing. And my concern is that Barbadians are not seeing what is clearly before their eyes. Housing is another ministry which is not being prioritized based on the concerns of Barbadians. And I have to sound like a broken record. If you and I have concerns about housing in Barbados today, and if you and I stay on a housing list at National Housing for years and years, and they are not addressing your concerns, why stay with them? Just say any job, any relationship, if you're not getting the results that you want, if it is not working for you, the people that say Michael West, for you Dems, I am saying to you tonight, if you're not getting the results that you want, you quit your job, you move on out to a relationship. Sometimes you're not hearing what the pastor wants, you want to hear from the pastor, and move out the church. If this government is not giving you the results that you want, to the good people say, Michael West and my Dems, it is time to do what? Move on. We need to move on. And I am happy. If I am the first tonight to do so, I am happy with the leadership of the Democratic Labour Party. I am happy that Mr. Ralph Thorne, my senior as an attorney, can take us forward. When I speak to my friends, we will joke a lot. My name for Mr. Thorne is Moses. And I would encourage each of you to understand the story of Moses and where he took his people from.
Yes.
He is going to deliver us. Just like when the Israelites were concerned. There were doubts. I know there's still doubts and the Dems all know. Sometimes I'm a little concerned. But Moses will take us out.
Yes.
You know what he's going to do? Take us forward. Because when we are moving on from this administration, this Labour Party government, we need a leader. And I am almost certain that Ralph Thorne is that man.
Yes.
Ralph is the man, apologies. Moses is the man to take the Dems and this government and the people of Barbados forward. And the time has to come. And I want to encourage each and every one of you that when the time comes, you must be ready. You must be energetic. You must not fear. This Morley administration like to put fear in people's hearts. But you must be bold. You must be brave. You must get up whenever that election is called. To the people in St. Michael West, when you can hear my voice. Because a man comes and throws furniture or a bill of face, that is not enough when everyone in a household does not have a job. When that time comes, I'm telling the people in St. Michael West, Shaquani Hunt is the lady to take you forward. This current MP is not doing enough. He's not prioritizing your concerns. So the good people of St. Michael West, what is time to do? Move on. And we're moving on. Another area which is not prioritized is agriculture. Could you believe? I heard the boss man, the leader of the opposition, who I like to call, as you know, Moses, looking at the governor of the central bank, who's now operating like a politician. I have never seen so much cameras, persons opening doors, dominoes, shooting, all kind of. Yes, Santa Waters and see all kind of fancy parties. He know about fancy parties. Make sure you go ice in the summer. But I say this to you, are we getting the results?
No.
Are we really getting the results that we want to see? 3% of GDP is agriculture. I know they're taking agricultural lands, I think, 2 parliament sessions ago. Is it Durance?
Yeah.
Durance, 2 or 3 sessions ago, and they're taking agricultural land out to the systems to build houses. You ain't finished the housing at home. Good Lord. When do you go and tend to something else before finishing another task? Is anyone going to tell this government anything? When are we going to move on? That is my question. They're not prioritizing our concerns. We had the crisis with chicken. Good Lord. I had an event around the season time of Christmas. You know, he called Santa Waters and asked if he got any extra chicken at Burger King. The good man he is, you know, he told me, Kev, I can give some, but I can't give you all. And I thank him for that. But we have to get serious. How it is in the peak of our tourism season. We short of chicken. Is this a government who's in command of a country? Is this a government who we feel as though outside are just talking pretty and sounding nice, flying in and out, making all kind of statements about climate change, etc. But I want Miss Motley to take note. The head has changed. And Trump has already started cutting a lot of those policies. So I want to, and this is no joke, I want to see how Miss Motley's now gonna beg. She's gonna beg for something else. But we're looking at agriculture, again, a concern of us. And it's not being prioritized. Small business and sports. You could imagine. Miss Motley had her PM football, Prime Minister's Cup. Of course, she tries her best to produce everything David Thompson did.
Copycat.
It's not good enough, of course, but
Never be.
we give her a chance to at least walk in a great man's shoes. Prime Minister's Cup. Call back all the national players to play this Prime Minister's Cup. You know, it had months that these young men were traveling to represent Barbados. And you know what the interesting thing is? They weren't being paid. Monies were outstanding. That is correct. Monies were outstanding to these men. Some of them are my personal friends. And these guys were saying to me, Kev, we traveling, we doing this, but we ain't getting money. And you know, before Miss Motley prioritized development of sport in this country, you know when Miss Motley tell them? But to get a little money, you gotta play the Prime Minister's Cup. If I'm selling had the money, and these are men beating the odds, putting their jobs at risk to train firstly, then to travel and represent Barbados in the sport that we want to take forward. Risking it all for us to be on the map in football, and they're not paying them. But she's going to come up with millions. You see what she's prioritizing? Millions in a cup which is attached to her name, and not pay these youngsters firstly. Indeed she is. Some are good. Definitely not her. And to feel as though you play sports for us, and men, you play for Barbados, and men respectfully, from club football will go and play for a cup and get paid more than you, and get paid before you. Do you think a reasonable and a caring government, even if the issues are at the BFA, will say, look, we have to pay these men first? And I don't want to sound like a sick record, but I say to each and every one of you sportsmen out there, if it is not working for you, it is time to move on. And I could assure you, the time is now. There's no waiting. Only thing we are waiting now is for Moses to announce the next 15. But after that, it's no looking back. We are ready. David boy, we are ready. The Dems, we are ready. And we are ready to move on. The time has come, and it's time to move on.
Advance with the dance.
Certainly.
Right.
Looking at small business, I know a lot of us, we have small business side hustles, whatever we want to call them. And you know one thing that would always impact our production, our costs, etc., is the cost of fuel. Could you imagine all going down all over the world? All over the world, gas prices going down. And for over a year, this government, Senator Waters spoke about it, this government refused to reduce the price of fuel, impacting a lot of small businesses in this country. Deliveries, cost of different produce, etc. But in wrapping up, I want to tell Barbadians this. I want to tell you Dems this. And I know I may get in a little trouble for this one. All prodigal sons and daughters, it is time to return home. It is time to work with the Dems. Get behind Moses. Get behind Senator Waters and Worrell. The team is ready. It is time for us to move on. Whatever happened in the past, all prodigal sons and daughters, come home. It is time for us to move on. The people of Barbados want us. It is more than just personalities. It is about us to get our act together and pull together, band together behind the leader of the opposition, who I call Moses, to lead us out into the next development and progress of Barbados. And in leaving, I want to tell you this. Every time you see an issue in Barbados, you ask yourself, is the government prioritizing your concerns? You ask yourself individually whether or not it's working for you. And I am saying to each and every one of you, if it is not working for you, whenever she calls the election, whenever the bell is wrong, I am saying to you, the decision is clear. It is time to move on. To the people of St. Michael West, move with Shaquani Hunt in each and every constituency. It is time to move on. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. God bless and good night.